Greetings everyone. Now in the last video we played around with the concept of a chicken jockey baby shark mashup, and you got to see me freehand sketch this grid pattern top view of a baby mastodon that you might kind of build in Minecraft. And then this is the side profile, and I did some fancy writing with it as well, of the little baby shark here. And this time the chicken gets to be the jockey and gets to ride the shark. So the extra fun thing is this is the last page of the sketchbook, and I'm going to do my version, or well, attempt to do my version of that drawing in my style, and let's see how it goes. So I have my inkwell set aside here. I'll get my pen, and I didn't do any pre-penciling. This is just going to be, well, let's see what happens. I'm going to start by zooming in, of course. That's where I'm going to start. Okay. Let's see how this goes. As I like to do with a lot of these things, I like to start with drawing an eye. Now, I do recommend pre-penciling your work, especially if you're doing a version that you want to make sure that the mistakes, I suppose, can be, well, eliminated. I'm not nearly as worried about that because, well, this is my sketchbook. I'm still going to try, of course. So that's how I'm going to draw the Megalodon eye. Just like that. We'll try to make it kind of cutesy. We don't want it to be too scary. But it is supposed to be a baby shark. I put in some little rough lines. Sharks are such amazing creatures. Although secretly, I like to think that in the ocean, although sharks are apex predators, which means they're at the top of the food chain, there are mammals in the ocean that I find to be even more remarkable, and that would be orcas. Killer whales. They seem super intelligent. They work together. Sometimes they get along pretty good with other animals, and other times I don't know, I think they're kind of spooky. But they seem to like to play, kind of like dolphins. So that seems interesting to me. But sharks are pretty neat though. As I said, I don't want this to be too scary. Now there's little fish that hang out with sharks. Do you remember what those are called? I don't remember right off. But they hang out with sharks because they know they can get scraps. Sharks have this tendency to tear things when they eat them. That's quite the smile, don't you think? I'll just do some light lines in there. And by light lines, there's still dark lines, but I'm not going to fill it in solid. Just like that. But up here, I'll go a little bit more solid because that'd be deeper in the mouth. And I don't want to eliminate the teeth. Do another little line here like that for the smile. Let's draw a gill here. One here. Another one there. For gills, I like to think of trying to do 5, even in a doodle. I want to make sure that the shark has enough oxygen from the water that can filter through. Just like that. Now, I'm going to see that part of the body go there. That's quite the fin. Okay. Now we have to figure out what we want this chicken to look like. Now, if this is a baby shark, chicken's got to be kind of a larger size. I'm going to start with the beak, I think. have a little chicken tongue sticking out, I think. Now, I know I seem like I have an unusual way of drawing, especially in this way. But this is just kind of like a getting rough ideas out of my head. You know, when I draw the Minecraft chicken, I wonder why I don't put in that crown and I only go with this thing here. Since it seems to be some sort of complaint that I have. About the look of the Minecraft chicken. Just trying to think of what I want to do with the chicken's wings. Yeah. Let's go with like a, you know, doing a thumbs up. Although people enjoy chicken fingers as snacks and as supper, chickens don't have fingers. But this is just pretend. my dragon claws down here ready. Now let's put in this fin now that I know where the chicken's leg is. Do more of the belly here. This one's the chicken. And we'll give him just a little bit of a tail here. Not an elaborate one. Because at the same time, we're going to have the baby shark's tail back here as well. Let's back this out a little bit. Okay. Now to see if we can do a little bit of sort of like finishing work on this. I want to make it so that we can see one or maybe more of the chicken's claws over here, because falling off because we're having so much fun. Because this would be incredibly rare for the chicken to have the opportunity to be a jockey. The chicken as a jockey. What a strange idea. Okay. We want some of this to end up being the belly, which would be lighter. Some of this is still the tail. This, of course, is the chicken's tail, which again, in Minecraft, they don't put the chicken's tail on there. That's all right. It's meant to be built out of blocks. And you can do finer details, but you just have to go big. Okay. Now let's work on the face just a little bit. Some of these little extra lines I'm doing, I like to call those like character lines. So this is kind of interesting to do this on the last page of this sketchbook. I'm just doing these dark, almost like it was a coloring book. I'm taking my time just a little bit. So all those little jagged edges that I did very quickly, I'm going to try to smooth out a little bit. And then, yes, make sure they're extra dark. Go down here to the chicken's legs. We can add in a little bit of that detail as well. Ooh, put some more ink. Let's make sure we have this fin. Dark. Do this belly dark here. Add in some feather detail. Some little details there, more there. And with that, I think the main part of this doodle is done. Pretty much. Okay, now let's add just a little bit of color. I have yellow, so I'll do the beak. That'll draw out some of that ink there as well. Kind of muddies it up a little bit. Do the inside, sure, but I'll pull out some of this. Yes. Like that. So that's what that looks like. Let's do this back leg here. Let's do this leg that's up front here. Make sure we got the foot done there. That's fun. What kind of pink shall I use for the tongue? Fairly light pink, I think. Let's go over here. Actually, let's stay focused on the head there for a moment. And we'll just add a little bit of color here. Some on this side over here. That's kind of fun. Let's take care of this on top of the head. little bit around the eye there, but I'm going to go back to just a little bit of pink. Just like that. While I have that pink, let's go down here to the baby Megalodon's teeth and make sure that the gums look beautiful. Baby Megalodon's having fun too. And maybe the trick is if they work together, you know, and the baby Megalodon doesn't swim deep, like stay underwater for very long. Maybe the chicken, although the chickens don't fly, but they're really strong, maybe they work together to get out of the water really high. Teamwork, you know? Now, I'm going to dip my pen here again, and I'm going to speckle a little bit of this. Now, this is not true dimpling or dippling, but I'm doing this because I'm going to get my brush and water out, and that's going to turn those dots into gray. Now, is it in Hawaii where the locals like to refer to sharks as the guys in gray suits? I don't know. I don't know why that just popped in my head. Probably because, you know, I'm getting ready to make a gray suit. There's a lot of little dots I'm putting in here. Back here to the tail. Actually, I can put in some lines here too. Because the further back it's going to be a little bit darker, I think. Some up here. Okay. Maybe some shade underneath the chicken. You ever practice your Steve Chicken Jockey voice? I'm not really good at it. Chicken Jockey! A little bit under here. Okay. Just a little bit of water for our last page. We'll start up here. That looks interesting. Next, let's do this side here. The top. Baby Megalodon. But yes, if you're in the water and you see a baby Megalodon, and the baby Megalodon seems like, you know, maybe having a great time, I don't know if it's a good idea to try to jump on the Megalodon's back. In fact, I'd say probably not. To be a jockey on a shark, because they can swim pretty deep and they have a whole head full of teeth. So you don't want to play games with them. Now some of those speckles are disappearing, and some of them are sticking around, and I like that. Kind of gives the skin a little bit of texture. We got to be careful around the white feathers of the chicken. Make sure these fins are treated with a bit more respect. And I did put a little bit more ink around them so that I could use a bit more of that. Get a little closer to the body here of the chicken. Maybe dry out a little bit of that. Let's move this a little bit down this way. And I did a bit more in the tail, because it's just a little bit further away. I think that's all for my last page. don't think there's anything else that I want to add to that. So let's back this out a little bit further now. Let's go to, well, let's see, there. And I'll put a couple more little speckles here. So that I can darken this spot in a little bit and leave a little bit of that behind. I think that is going to be it for the water part of this. We're at just under 45 minutes. See if there's any last moment details that I just want to take care of. And of course, this weekend is Mother's Day. And it's good to remember that a lot of us were brought onto the planet through our mothers. And at least to acknowledge that is a wonderful thing. And if you have your mother in your life, acknowledge your mother. And we'll try to do something fun, like we'll work on a Mother's Day card, I think, before Mother's Day. My mother passed away a few years ago, but I'll work on something even for my mother-in-law, because that is awesome, and remember my own mother. Which is important, I think, as well. Well, you know what? I don't think we need to do much more with this. I think that should be it. You know, oh, my goodness, I suffer with this sometimes. But we'll darken around the head, beak of the chicken. So anything that I'm commissioned to do, anything professional, I have a tendency to do illustrations that look a little more like this. So I suppose you could say that's part of my style. Not always. You don't have to do things in a very specific way all the time. These back feathers. Sometimes you can spend hours and hours and hours working on a drawing, even in your sketchbook. That's not my plan here. But my plan with the sketchbook, and for those of you that are hanging out with me, is that you get to see me do this stuff mainly in real time. And hopefully you get to draw along with me. And have fun. Okay. Pen is down. Last day for this sketchbook. Well, thanks for hanging out. I do believe I'm done with this. And at some point I may revisit it and see what fun little improvements I can make in this. But there you go. That's a baby shark, Megalodon, with a chicken as the jockey, which would be a nice change for the chicken rather than being ridden around. The chicken is the rider. You have a wonderful day. Thanks for hanging out. After I stop the video, I might just write something here or something, I don't know, but that'll probably be in the thumbnail. And yeah, let's say that is it. Let's do a quick little zoom. Let's see if that'll focus a little bit better. All right. Well, thanks for hanging out. Have a wonderful day. I'll leave that back up there.